a way to get there. Fools are calling and the odds seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Now that I need you anyway. I never wanted to be alive, just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat of time, I cross the lines just to tell you, don't leave the way, don't leave the same. Then I try with a chance playing parade. I feel like I'm fading.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel Talk. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, and I am the Wolverine. To this man's Deadpool, this is 2/3 of Andre C. Well, you can see all of them. Maybe if I change the thing, I can get it to be 2/3. Hold on. There. Oh, no, he's still all there. Fine. That's 2/3 Andre C. If you don't know the joke, well, you'll find out later. And, of course, we've got our wonderful special guest joining us this week, Bobby Money Munson down there on the bottom. How you doing, Bobby?
Yay. I'm doing great because we're going down the road, down the witch's road.
We are indeed. We've already
God, that was so good.
It was such a good episode. And if
Ah,
I'm going to give everybody fair warning now, after we get done talking about the episode, I am going to go into a very spoilery section of something that dropped this within the last week or so.
Yeah.
Something dropped that spoiled the entirety of the rest of the show for the most part. So we'll get
no,
to that.
I don't. I haven't
Good
seen
job,
whatever this
Uncle.
is.
And
I
you
haven't
will
seen
find
whatever
out.
this is. I
You will find out later.
Yeah.
Don't
don't
you
want to be
Uncle Bob.
spoiled. I don't want to be spoiled, Ed. I don't want to
You
be
can-
ruined like you.
Look, Andre, just like everybody at the first 10 minutes of Terrifier 3, you can just close your eyes and look away.
Yeah.
Or
no,
leave.
I will
Like-
never. I
like
will
people with
never
Terrifier.
see that movie. I will never watch that movie.
A person puked and 10 other people just left during the opening scene of the movie.
I haven't seen the first two, so I don't plan to see this third one, especially how bad it's sounding.
Anyways, before we lose all of our viewers, let's go ahead and talk about episode 4 of Agatha All Alone. Bobby, before we get into this, what did you think of the first 3 episodes, real quick?
See, increasingly loving it more and more as it's going along. The best parts, and I know we had a long conversation about this the other night, Ed, is that this show for me hits so many different notes. Like it is MCU, but it's not MCU. It's got a voice and tone of its own, where even if you're not necessarily an MCU follower avidly or anything like that, you can get into this as a horror fan. And I really suggest horror fans get into this because it is a great witch show led by a great, powerful cast at the same time that are doing excellent work. The music, again, so catchy. The Ballad of the Witch's Road, and then, of course, the version that we got in this episode as well, too, that we're going to talk about. Just badass. Absolutely badass. I love the way this is panning out. I love the subtle ties to the MCU, but at the same time, still keeping it feeling like it's its own entity. So it's been a great, great show.
The only things that you need to see to enjoy this show are WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Really, that's your only homework for this, which is nice. It's it's 9 episodes of a TV show and 1 okay 2-hour movie.
I like how it's one okay.
It wasn't a good movie. It wasn't good.
I was
I thought
pleasantly
it was-
disappointed considering how excited I was when it was announced.
I
Really.
enjoyed that movie.
Since Mel is here, we put up Eddie.
Hi, Mel.
That's just what we do.
Hi, Mel. I'll be talking to you in an hour.
Yep.
Yes.
Speaking of which, yeah, Japanese wrestling update coming up right after us.
Right after we finish, they will be going live. So make sure you stay tuned.
We will. Prep and
And
ready to go.
there's the obligatory squee.
Squee. Sorry, I'll do it from now. Squee.
The now Astridless Mel and Andre C. And she's
Yeah.
now back home safely in Florida, back in the United States, a wonderful, great country.
Okay.
depending how November
I don't know
goes.
how safe she is in Florida, though.
I mean,
Especially without Timmy's coffee. I mean, geez.
she's a Starbucks girl. Don't worry. She'll be fine.
Oh,
Anyways,
she was a
moving
Timmy's girl up here.
Mm.
She was a Timmy's girl in Canada, that's for sure.
There was a little conversion going on, I swear.
No conversions. No conversions.
You
Down,
know
down.
that Timmy's is better than Starbucks. You know it. You've been
Don't remind me
Oh.
that bottle of-
Come on, Ed. Oh, yeah. Don't do that, Ed.
so mean.
You've still got puppy. You're fine. But no, we are having our 4th episode, which was titled If My Song Can't Reach You, if I can't teach you, let my song reach you, I believe it's called.
Mhm.
I'm trying to pull up the thumbnail now to figure out if I'm correct or not. I think I'm right.
This is the utter professionalism here on Marvel Talk, ladies and gentlemen.
We're top notch, let me tell you. I've made 4 thumbnails over the last few days, so yeah.
It's through. Oh no, hold on. No, I can't even find your most recent one.
Yeah, if I can't reach you, let my song teach you. Is the
There
name
we
of the
go.
episode. And it starts with picking up where we left off, the death of Kitty Foreman, Mrs. Hart, Sharon Davis, however you want to call her. Which, by the way, considering the episode we got after this, how rude of them to kill her before doing a 70s inspired musical episode.
Yeah, what the hell? I was like, really?
By the way,
You
also-
don't do the 70s with the woman who was famous for a show about the 70s. What?
And
the
right
hell?
on the same week when they go ahead and cancel
Yes!
her 90s
I
show.
was going to say, when they canceled that 90s show, was officially canceled today as well.
Ouch.
So, Sharon Davis, Mrs. Hart, she's had a bad week overall.
Yeah.
But we have Lilia, Jennifer, and Alice talking over the body. We have Teen digging a grave, and Agatha basically being like, "All right, let's move on."
I love that they made Teen do all the hard work, though.
Yeah, he's got to pull his weight somewhere, right? Like, come
Yeah,
on.
he's
I
not
mean,
doing the magic.
he's got no
He better be- he
potions,
better be in the
nothing. Like,
physical shit, yeah.
he'd dig a hole.
Yeah.
By the way, with a tree branch, like not even like with like they don't have a magical shovel for him. He's using I don't know if you notice it. It's like a branch of a tree that he's just like
Yep.
digging
Here to
in
learn,
the dirt
son.
with. It's fucking
That
hysterical.
would be very hard to do, too.
Oh, it would be. It would be very
Jesus.
hard to do.
And I love Agatha in this whole scene too. Just kind of like, let's move on, let's get going, and just that like upbeat, like cheerfulness. All of a sudden, that it's like, okay, there's somebody's dead here.
And it's everybody else trying to figure out, no, we have a problem. We don't have a green witch. What the hell are you doing? And it's just,
Moving on with
Beautiful how they
Coven
do it.
2, as opposed to the real lines of the song that Agatha knows, but she's like, no, it's Coven 2. We can just keep going. It's fine. No big deal. But
Yeah.
they do decide to get a new Green Witch. They go ahead and do the spell. And they all start giving like what kind of elements they want in this new Green Witch. And we have, Lilia Calderoo says, may she be the strongest in her craft. And Agatha's like, may she be smart and not annoying. And then channeling Bobby Munson and not super political. And then Jennifer Kale goes, and may she be aesthetically pleasing. And I'm just like, all right. I mean, that's our request. That's fine.
it is perfectly in line with that. The Marvel is gay. Is
And
what this
also,
show
it's
is
in line
telling
with
us.
her character. Like, she's a skin salesman. Like, granted, snake oil skin salesman. But, like, at the same time, like, she's all about healthy skin, healthy look, things like that. So it makes sense for her character to be like that.
Oh,
And
very much
Alice
so.
is like, may she bring Advil. Which apparently, according to New Rockstars, this whole thing is kind of this little, like, workshop-y type thing that you would do in an improv class, where the answers progressively get more and more comedic throughout the things. where they start really specific to the scene, and then as each person goes, they just go more and more crazy.
That makes sense.
But nothing
lot of
happens. Nothing happens. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, just wait, let it wait. And then like Evil Dead, pff, hand pops through the ground.
Oh, that was an homage to Evil Dead with that hand coming out. It was perfection. Really,
Well, and
any
there's
zombie
even-
movie.
Later in the episode as well too, when the evil or whatever it is that thing comes at the screen kind of thing in a way like like a point of view shot that happens where it's like very Evil Dead with the whole you know the scenes that are famously known for the Evil Dead. So there's multiple homages throughout this to the Evil Dead, but also one, and we'll talk about it when we get there, to another movie I wanted to bring up too.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get there as we get there. And out pops people like, oh my God, is the zombie? Is it the zombie Mrs. Hart? Nope, not Mrs. Hart. It is indeed Rio Vidal, the Green Witch in all of her green glory. And the girls on the road have this very interesting reaction to her. Agatha, of course, irritated and walks away. Because, well, first she goes to try to kill her. And they say, no, you can't kill her. We just summoned her. You can't kill her again.
Which
We
is
just
just
got
so
this new
good.
Green Witch.
Just so good.
So she storms off. Team goes after her. They have a little heartfelt conversation where he's like, oh, the very attractive, crazy, interesting lady is here. Is this a good or a bad thing for us, Agatha? And Agatha just doesn't answer him. Has no opinion on this whatsoever. So Rio starts walking down the road a little bit. And you have Lilia, Alice, and Jennifer walking. And they're like, well, what do you think of her? Can we trust her? Like, we don't know anything about her. Well, we know that Agatha hates her, so that's a plus.
So good.
And then Jennifer looks at her and she goes, I don't know if I'm scared of her or if I want her number. And I'm like, oh, okay. Everybody's just gay for Aubrey Plaza.
Marvelous gay, baby. Well, she did
By the way-
say she wanted the person to look good, so it makes more sense.
But I'm just saying, who wouldn't want Aubrey Plaza? Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
That-
I just finished a rewatch of freaking Parks and Rec, dude.
The resting bitch face that Aubrey Plaza typically has on a lot of things is a very attractive look for her. Doesn't work for every woman, but it works for Aubrey Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think so far of this, re-debut of Aubrey Plaza here now as a green witch, as opposed to the black hooded figure that we saw in episode 1?
I like her. Again, it's like, what is she? And all you're thinking is, what is she angling at? What is she angling at? What is she angling at? That's what all I could go was going through this entire episode.
Mm-hmm. Bobby?
I think it's a fantastic addition. There was a lot of great banter back and forth that happens, and a lot of mystique that comes about. Well, at least up until the point when you learn a little too much. But there's a little mystique going up, like kind of to what Andre's saying. It's like, what is she up to? Where is she coming from? So it's a really great addition to this show, or to this, not only the show, but this particular episode, and that's seen throughout the progression of this. Yeah.
No, completely right. Resting bitch face. The blessing. The curse. It is. It definitely is. Like I said, some women it works for. Some women it doesn't. It's a quality that I find very intriguing about Aubrey Plaza in general. I don't think she's a bitch. I just know that she has that face that sometimes in her roles she puts on that portrayal.
Well, again, that all comes from Parks and Recreation. Everybody knows that's where she became famous for that face, and people wanted everything ever since.
So we continue moving, and we see the house. Now, it's actually the house that we have in the backdrop of the episode. I'm not going to pull everybody else to see it. But this episode, the file that I've been using as our backdrop for the show, is actually from this episode. So it's a house on a hill. Alice sees it, and she's immediately like, nope, we're not doing this. I'm leaving. And she goes, oh, look, mutiny already.
And then they all follow her, and bam, the house is on the other side, because you can never stop walking the road.
Yeah.
Can I mention and ask, like, you guys notice that the colors of the leaves on the ground change according to what house they're heading towards and stuff like that?
Uh-huh. The
This was
whole
more like
scene
red, like the
changes.
red. There was like
Yeah.
red leaves and like it just
Reds and blues and purples everywhere in this episode. So they end up going into the house, and as soon as they walk in, everybody is in 70s attire.
Well,
Also-
even before that, when they're at the door, they say it's the waxing moon.
Waxing.
Yeah, and it represents fire because the last one was water, which was the new moon, which was water. So the waxing moon, it represents fire, which is like, okay, somebody's gonna get burned.
Oh, and somebody did indeed get burned. But we walk in, everybody's in their 70s attire, everybody's looking great. Teens got this Beatley style, like, bob haircut on. Some of the women are a little bit more risquely dressed, shall we say, that I'm used to in my Marvel. It felt more like an X-Men 97 than it did everything else that we've had in Marvel.
Versus the rest of the MCU.
Yeah,
I can agree with you there.
But everybody looks fantastic. I think Lilia Calderu actually pulled things out of her closet from the 70s to wear for this episode. I mean, she probably didn't, but like this woman has been, you know, she's been around forever. She's been a stage legend on Broadway forever. There's no reason why she couldn't have attire from the 70s that would probably be fantastic for the show.
Well, I'm pretty sure what she was wearing was an homage to Liza Minnelli.
Probably. That makes sense. If she
that 100% makes sense. I didn't realize that until now. Yeah.
Which again, for her makes perfect sense that she would be embodying Liza Minnelli. That's totally something that she would do.
Yeah.
God, what is her real name? I can't think of it. I know she's a Broadway actress for like the last 50 years. God, it's Andre's looking it up for me because I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I'm pulling it up. Don't worry. I can't remember.
Patty LuPone.
Patty LuPone, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, she's fantastic in the role they have her in this show.
Mm-hmm.
She's been doing great. I love it. But we start wandering around here. Teen's like, oh, is there going to be like a little note card? Start it like last time. He's all excited for the new test. He's that annoying kid in class who just wants the tests. And everybody's just kind of wandering around. And there's a scene where Agatha's looking in a mirror and she's using the mirror reflection to see Teen behind her. And Rio walks up. And she says, boo. And Agatha's obviously not scared, but she does this real slow turn to Rio. Looks back at the mirror, looks back at Rio, and just says, no, don't. And I'm like, interesting. We got a friend in the chat, Gorfin, saying, is Wanda dead? Maybe. I doubt it. We're hearing rumblings of a Scarlet Witch movie being pitched around the Marvel offices. So I would assume she's not dead, but we don't
I feel like the
know.
version that we know is dead. Remember, there's still the multiverse. There's a Wanda in every other universe that we can bring in. The panda, the panda.
The panda son, and potentially Wiccan. If this is Billy Kaplan's Wiccan, or Billy Maximoff Wiccan multiverse, it could be either one. It could be. We'll save the last couple comments for later on in the show. What we do have is Mephisto Satan in German. I don't believe so. Mephisto is just the diversion of the devil in Marvel lore. One of the devils in Marvel lore, not necessarily in all of Marvel lore, but he is the most prominent version of the devil known to the current audience. I should say.
But to the credit, I think where our chatter's going is that the actual name Mephisto is a demon featured in German folklore.
Yeah,
the devil in German is actually Teufel. Teufel? That's what it is in German.
Chthon and Mephisto are entirely different demonic beings. Chthon is the one who wrote the Darkhold. He is the one who prophesied the Scarlet Witch. He is an entirely different demon set than Mephisto. Mephisto essentially runs a version of how people bargain with Mephisto. Chthon just kind of brings you into his evil darkness. And again, this is a lot of different back and forth. I mean, just because we heard, like me and I were talking about last week, just because we heard the name Mephisto, I don't think we're getting much more of that coming for the rest of this. I think that's a payoff of something that they didn't think about when they did the story that they did in WandaVision. And they just wanted to give us a little something, telling us he's coming. As we know,
he's out there.
Sacha Baron Cohen is rumored to have been cast in the Ironheart show as Mephisto.
Interesting.
There are rumors that he is going to be playing Mephisto in there, that the Hood goes to him to get the gun, the special gun that the Hood uses to summon the demons that he summons. It's interesting, but again, it's off topic for Agatha.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see much more of that. Again, we'll talk about one of your other comments a little bit later on. We'll go to the last one. Mephisto or Mephistopheles is one of the chief demons in German literary tradition. So there we go.
Yeah.
Very, very possible. Like I said, I'm not up on my German literature, unfortunately. I apologize. I'm barely up enough on my Marvel to do this. I do lots of research for this show. I know it doesn't look like I do, but I actually do a lot of reading to get here. But we have the girls all walking around. Agatha cons Rio Vidal into saying that all the witches on the witches' road trip here are going to die, that Agatha's going to end up making sure that they're all dead, and that Rio's going to collect the bodies. Save that thought. That will come back later. I'm just not happy. So we keep moving on, and Teen starts playing a song, but it's playing backwards, which is, of course, a nod to everybody assuming that if you
backmasking.
Exactly, backmasking. If you play songs backwards, there's satanic rituals and satanic versions of these songs all written into them if you play them backwards. And instead of just playing it forwards to try to reverse the curse like normal people would have done, Agatha takes the record player and just throws it on the ground and destroys it. Which is great. But also kind of stupid.
It's almost very reminiscent, once again, with the homage to the Evil Dead throughout this episode and stuff like that, when the record that summons the dead and stuff is played in the Evil Dead. I also do want to mention that the room that they're in, for anybody who's not familiar with the witch movie, Dario Argento's Suspiria, or the remake of Suspiria, there are nods to both versions of that. In the room that they're in, the overhead shot that they do with that kind of white and red kind of circular piece is direct from Suspiria. So there are few nods throughout this entire episode to that movie as well too. And again, a brilliant which one? I don't want to go too off topic, but just the nod in this episode to that movie.
And speaking of things along the wall, we have nods to Fleetwood Mac. We have nods to Alice's mother. We literally have a poster from a fictional concert that she performed out on the West Coast. So we're getting into, we're dating where this is taking place. We're kind of dating where this period was. And we find out that the song that was being played backwards was the Ballad of the Witch's Road that was written, that was most commonly performed by Alice's mother back in the day.
And they find out her version is different too. Like hers is,
yes, the wording is completely different. Why is it completely different? We find out a little bit later on when we do when we find out that it's a protection spell. Yeah. But again, we'll talk more about that as we go.
It's Lorna Woo's version.
Lorna Woo, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gorfin's still dropping a whole bunch of questions in here. We'll answer some of them as we can. Again, I'm leaving some of them for later because I want to talk about stuff like that at the end.
Yes. I'm going to say yes.
Scarlet Witch can literally beat almost anybody. Any terrestrial non-entity being, she can take on pretty much no issue because of the fact that she has the ability, like most entities do, to conform reality to whatever she wants. Remember, if you want to see how powerful the Scarlet Witch can be, House of M. The only thing you need to do to understand how powerful the Scarlet Witch can be is read House of M. She literally rewrites existence to bring her children to life.
Hmm.
It's the story that they kind of took pieces of to create WandaVision. There's about 3 different stories that they used to tell the WandaVision story. Avengers Disassembled is one of them, as well as House of M. We continue on here with everybody trying to figure out what's going on. We find out about Alice's, what she thought were just the marks on her body were just
Birthmark.
what do they call them? Birthmarks, yes. But in fact, it's a burned demonic curse.
Yeah.
That's on her entire, it's a generational curse, her entire family.
And it causes 2 more of them to get cursed on top of it all.
Yeah. So they decide to start playing as a band because, as Teen said, they're ready for an album cover just on the looks alone. So you might as well go ahead and make a band out of it. Wanda has been portrayed as a glass cannon solely in the MCU because you can't really fathomably tell the Scarlet Witch's true story and have anybody live to tell the tale.
True.
No, Captain Marvel would not be too fast for Wanda.
Mm.
Captain Marvel is Captain Marvel has been portrayed much better in the show in the MCU than she's ever been portrayed in the comics. Captain Marvel is a good but not great character in the comics. Not nearly the level of the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And Marvel's tried to put them on similar power levels. And the power levels are absolutely disastrously different.
My biggest issue is with Captain Marvel is the Superman problem. That's your biggest issue with Captain Marvel is the Superman problem.
Which is why I'm very curious, and we're getting way off topic here. We don't have too much time to do this. But I'm very interested about the Sentry problem we're going to have with the Thunderbolts. Because Sentry is literally Superman in the comic books. To the point where they literally had to make him forget who he was so that they could deal with the fact that nobody could defeat him. So it's very interesting the way they do that. Bobby, go ahead and talk to us about the Witches Road concert that we get here, 70s version.
You're the music man.
And I love what I think I said to you that night too, and it's like this started off as a horror show and it turned into a goddamn heavy metal concert, and I was there for it. I was rocking out. These ladies killing it. I don't care if it was a pre-tape thing and then they, whatever it is, it's great. It was a music video and it was a masterpiece. The song is great. I love the original, like the original, talk like that, the actual one they used in the first episode to open the Witch's Road, the Ballad of the Witch's Road. But when we get to this version of it, the actual Lorna Woo's version, it rocks. Like it keeps that progression going throughout it until we finally get that whole thought of like how to beat the demon is to really give in to this protection spell, this song that is being presented, and that demon sitting there. That was a kick-ass looking demon, by the way. That was something else. Love that touch. And then it going up in flames. This was such a badass moment that made an already fantastic episode that much more epic by the time we got through this.
I love Lorna throughout because when they start playing the song, everybody else is into it. Everybody else is like, it's just her. She's so hesitant when they're starting playing, and just Alice, sorry, not Lorna, Alice, I apologize. And they just kicked so much ass. It just by the end, she's like just going hard by the end, and she's become the lead singer of it by the end, and it's just when watching that demon land on her, and then she's playing harder and harder as she's being burnt, and then it just goes up in flames and just beautiful.
Yeah, you guys have said it all. It's such an amazing performance. It's such an amazing visual. The audio and visual experience both come together. The camera work here to make sure that you get a variety of shots of different people throughout this song being played. Everything worked together. Yes.
Yeah.
Lily
My wife
called
and I have
you-
been
Lilia-
rocking it. We've been rocking the song on repeat for the last several days.
Lilia, just that one. My favorite part, playing the little
hand
finger
symbols.
symbol,
Yeah,
the finger
finger
symbols, and then going into the triangle. I was just
And
like,
the maracas.
yes.
She had
Yeah, the
maracas too
maracas.
at one
Oh,
point.
she's rocking too. It was utter perfection. It was utter perfection.
But the curse is lifted. The demon is dead. And we get the exit through the piano. Love the idea of the exit through the piano. But Teen falls down. When Teen got pushed back earlier in the episode through the glass of the recording studio, some of the glass got jarred in him. So they bring him out. Agatha, extremely concerned.
Hmm?
She did not give two shits when Mrs. Hart died, when Sharon Davis died, when Kitty Foreman died. But man, with Teen being hurt, she was in another world here, trying to make it. And I'm going to say something, and again, it's going to be one of those things where we'll come back to this later. She looks directly at Rio and says, don't. And again, we'll put a little pin in that for now. And we'll come back to it in about 5 minutes from now.
So I just wanted to mention, I'm pretty sure that it's during the performance that the glass ends up hitting Teen. It's broken glass from when he was thrown through the window, but it's actually during the performance when the demon starts to rise and the power starts to rise and the glass comes shooting through and takes that slice out of his stomach at that point.
Oh, I thought it was
and because you see him, he goes down and he misses a couple of the notes for a second, and then he pulls it together to try to finish the song out.
I didn't know that. I did not notice.
I didn't notice that either. So God, Bobby's here to
Like
tell
I
us
noticed
about
him kind of go during the performance, and then
it's
the glass
at that
there.
point.
I thought it was just him reacting to the glass that was already in him. That's what
I was pretty sure it actually got him at that point in time. Was that actually comes flying in? Yeah,
I just assumed it was reacting to something that had gotten him before. That's what I took it as.
Yep. And again, we continue on with, Agatha's like, "What do you need, Jen? What do you need, Jen?" And Jen's trying to figure it out. She's not done this in a long time. She's not tried to use magic. She needs, luckily, moonlight, which we have plenty of, and water, which is also seemingly readily available on the Witch's Room. So they go ahead and they heal the Teen. Teen's good. They bring him over to someplace more comfortable. They make him a tent. And everybody starts comparing war stories. And we have, Lilia Calderu talking about being bit by a vampire. More references to vampires. More wanting Blade. I really want news on Mahershala Ali's Blade. I want this goddamn movie now. It's going to be a banger.
The fucked up part is I want that movie to just get shut down and then the whole reboot it and pick somebody completely new now. That's all I want.
I love Mahershala Ali. I think he's great.
He is great, but at this point, cast somebody young.
I mean, Mahershala Ali isn't all that old.
He's not young.
Remember, we just cast Hugh Jackman as Wolverine until he's 90. Remember that?
Yeah, but it's Hugh Jackman. He's been different.
He's going to be doing it till he's 90. Didn't you hear Deadpool?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you haven't, go ahead and if you don't want to wait for it to come out on Disney Plus, and I believe it's at the end of the month it comes out on Disney Plus, you can go ahead and get your digital copy now, which has special features, which includes an audio commentary giving you some really interesting things. I've watched a video on some.
Mahershala is 50, dude. Mahershala is 50.
That's not so bad.
Yeah, that's too old.
He's still got 10 to 15 more good years in him to be in the MCU.
No, I think they need to
Andre, he's
Restart
a vampire. He doesn't age.
That's Blade, not Mahershala Ali, but I like where you're going there, Bob. So they all start comparing war stories. Agatha talks to the Teen, and they're having a great conversation. And we find out more about sigils here, where sigils are created to protect someone, but they also protect against whoever created the sigil. Mm-hmm. And they can't be lifted. They can only be destroyed when they're no longer necessary. Again, we'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that.
Why are you going to ruin everything for me?
I'm so going to ruin everything for you.
Just cover your ears, man. Cover your ears.
In about 3 minutes, I'm going to ruin everything for you. Teen asks her what happened to her son, and she walks away. She can't tell him. But she did say before, you don't need to know someone's name to know who they are. And this got Andre thinking. Andre, go ahead and talk to me for a minute here about what this got you thinking. Because it'll come back.
You're gonna ruin everything for me. So then she ends up going. And she gets pulled aside by Rio, and this
they're about to kiss.
They're about to kiss. I wasn't even going to play to that, but she tells Wanda it's not her son. Agatha. Fuck, man, my.
Don't worry. We'll get back to the Wanda.
We only have one more show to do after this. I mean, no big deal.
Yeah. So she. At least there I have notes in front of me for that show, so it's a lot better. I don't have notes for this one. It's not her kid, and she kind of storms off, and I'm thinking, my brain is thinking is, oh, Rio's lying. It's her kid. It's Scratch. It's Nicholas, but I think Ed's what the ruin things for me. So,
whole bunch of things. But I did love this. We also get a story in between here. I wanted Andre to tell that because he told it to me on Discord. I really wanted him to explain that his thinking about that. Rio tells this story about a time where she got a wound, but it's not a physical wound; it's an emotional wound. Where in doing her job, she had to do something that she didn't want to do to somebody that she loved, and she took something away from somebody that she loved. And it hurt them deeply. Now, this is where the episode.
Did she take her son when she had to give when she gave her up? That's a question I have.
So this is where the episode commentary ends. So I'm now going to put up a special banner and give people a moment. This is our banner. We haven't used in a while. This is our spoilers banner.
Big
Andre,
spoilers.
you have to stay here. But for the rest of you, if you don't want a big portion,
I quit, Bobby. You're the new co-host.
If you don't want large portions of what's going to be potentially happening throughout the season, please go ahead and leave now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So with any television or movie production in it, you go ahead and merchandise is put out. And merchandise often tells a lot of things that the showrunners weren't necessarily intending on telling. One of the few things produced for this show that is going to be very telling is a line of three Funko Pops for this show. One for Agatha Harkness. That's fine. And 2 others that give the game away.
Yep.
Andre, you ready for this?
Drum roll.
There's a Wiccan
Yeah,
toy.
she's Lady Death. Makes sense that Rio is actually Death. That makes perfect sense. And it's Wiccan, okay.
So now to go back and put where everything I put a pin in that I wanted to go back to. When she kept looking at her and saying no. The reason why she's telling her no is because Death can kill and reanimate upon her own request. Death is, for those that don't know who or what Death is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's a person called Lady Death. And we've had multiple nods to it with our good friend Gorfin here. Lady Death from the Silver Surfer comics, where she was Thanos' girlfriend. Yes, that is indeed one of the stories that people were assuming was going to take place in the Infinity Saga. Because the reason he goes and does the gathering of the Infinity Stones is to court Death. Another comment is Lady Death, Agatha's lover. Yes, it is. It's with the picture of that Funko Pop, you can exactly tell whom they're talking about with that. And it's absolutely Rio Vidal. So Rio Vidal is apparently playing Marvel's Death. So when she kept looking at her when she wanted to make sure to keep the teen alive, she kept saying no because of that. We can also now confirm that Joe Locke's character is a version of either Billy Kaplan or Billy Maximoff.
I feel like it's gonna be Kaplan because just because Wiccan is, for most intents and purposes, known as Billy Kaplan for a majority of 616 universe. You got to remember that Billy Maximoff, he is a version of Billy Maximoff with the House of M redux after it all happens. He's brought back as another person's kid, but he's still Wiccan. Like, I feel like it's Billy Kaplan.
But
By
see,
the way,
when he
also
first. Oh,
to
sorry. I
throw
was
in
just
more-
going to say. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say just one more piece to throw in with Lady Death. Lady Death as another thing of why she comes out now. Interestingly enough, we just finished Deadpool and Wolverine. It's going to come out on digital. It's about to come out on Disney Plus. There is a version of the comics where Lady Death and Deadpool have a thing.
Nice.
The man who can't die and death.
Makes sense.
Interestingly
Makes
enough, you were talking about.
I was just gonna say that in the first episode when Agatha asks Teen who he is, and that's when we first find out about the curse or whatever not allowing him to speak. If you look close enough, like just the, even though it's a sewn mouth and everything like that, it feels more like they lean towards Maximoff in the way that the mouth movement happens. I don't know if this is just a way of throwing us. And that's what I wonder. And that's the greatness of the show is, yeah, the maybe Funko went and messed up and gave a little bit too much away, but they might be leaning that way just to kind of throw us off just enough to, throw a little twist or a turn on it kind of thing.
And there's still another thing that we've been talking about for weeks with Andre and myself about this, where Billy, either Kaplan or Maximoff. I'm going to go with Kaplan just for ease. I think Maximoff is much more likely, like Bobby. I think just because this is part two of this is part 2 of 3 that Marvel's kind of confirmed that WandaVision is 1, 2, and 3 with 3 different things that we're going to get. WandaVision part 1, Agatha All Along is part 2, and there'll be a Vision show coming in the future that's going to be a part 3.
And arguably, could Billy Maximoff want to get to the end of the road in some way, shape, or form to find a way to maybe release or get back Wanda?
Yep, that's one of the things I was thinking.
Could be.
I also continue to go with our belief that Billy Kaplan is being possessed by the soul of an agent of Mephisto in Nicholas Scratch. And that's why Agatha sees her son there. And Death is telling her, your son is gone. I've taken your son. But she feels the connection to Teen because of the fact that Nicholas Scratch is possessing the soul to make sure that Agatha gets to the end of the road. For whatever reason Mephisto has for her to get there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I ruined everything for you, Andre.
Well, the Lady Death thing, I was when she came out of the ground, I'm like, okay, she's a green witch, but she's death. Like that was like my thought in my head. But yeah, but again, I think a lot of people were expecting him to be Wiccan from before the show debuted. You got to remember. So it's not really that big of a spoiler. It's like, okay, he is Billy. It's one of the Billies. So we'll see. Do we get and I think is we don't get. I don't think we see Speed until Vision Quest, but
we won't see Speed at all in this whatsoever. I don't. Yeah. I think that's going to exactly. Vision is going to be trying to find his children. I think in Vision, we'll call it Vision Quest for now. Marvel has told us that will no longer be the name of the show; it'll be something different. It's now the Vision Project until they come up with a new name for it. But it was originally supposed to be Vision Quest.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting episode. Lots of good in this episode. No real bad in this episode. I thought there was a lot of interesting things. Also, something pointed out to me to go back to Lady Death again. In episode 3, remember how we were saying it was so weird to have the hooded figures that have the skeleton face? Lilia Calderu was seeing Death. That's who she was seeing in that scene. It's Lady Death, who is always portrayed as a skeleton with purple and black robes. Lilia Calderu was seeing Death, foreshadowing for us the fact that Rio Vidal is coming out here, which will play the character of Death. That's why the line, you get to kill the witches like always, and I get my bodies. Death taking the bodies of the dearly departed to go ahead and bring them back to the realm of death with her.
Makes sense. Yeah, that was the point where I went, she's fucking dead, isn't she, in my brain?
Yep.
Just, keep this quiet, because I don't want to sound crazy, but I'm not crazy.
No, you're not crazy. It's entirely possible. And there we go. Episode 4 of the Witches of Agatha All Along. Second episode along the Witches Road. We still need trials from Lilia Calderon. We still need trials from Agatha and Rio. Rio theoretically will have a trial on the road. And we might even have a trial for Teen. We don't quite know, but we might have a trial for Teen along the road. We're on episode 4. We have 9 episodes, so we need 4 more trials theoretically. That would be Lilia Calderon, Rio, Teen, and then Agatha will be the final trial in episode 8, which will lead us to the big finale fight in episode 9, which should likely be, like Andre and I have been talking about for a while, either the Salem 7 versus Agatha and whatever members of her coven are still around, or Agatha versus Rio, aka Lady Death. But
that puts a lot of questions in my head, even more from episode 1 or 2. 1, when they were fighting, and they were talking about how you can't kill me, and if I kill you, it's going, because if she kills her, she can essentially take the power of death, and that's essentially a curse for her, like cursed life for her, and she takes the power of death, and just that, and it makes so much more sense. It makes sense that Lady Death can't kill, but she's there to take possession of those who die.
Lady Death can, theoretically in the comics, Lady Death can kill.
But I'm saying in this way they're talking about it, it makes sense that she can't kill in a sense. Like, she probably can kill when she has to, but like she can't just kill she probably can only kill for certain reasons. Yep. And what again, this is all what I'm inferring from thinking about episode 1 and now realizing she's dead. It's just like, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of sense to be made from that. Also, in episode 1, we saw the knife. We saw it in this episode as well. That is the exact replica of the knife that Death uses. So that blade is not a coincidence. It's again, a lot of foreshadowing that we didn't think about, that we didn't notice, that I would never have put 2 and 2 together. And remember, the other thing about Agatha not being able to kill her, remember, she's an entity. She's not even a god. She is above the level of the gods in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She is an entity. The last time that we saw an entity in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that was Eternity in Thor: Love and Thunder, the worst of the Thor movies by far, and probably one of the worst MCU movies of all time.
Still better than Incredible Hulk.
It's a very low bar, my friend. Mel's dog could jump that bar on her. I don't know how high that little dog.
That dog has hops, yo. I've seen that dog jump. That dog has hops.
Well, so then he could definitely jump that bar.
Munson, why don't you go ahead and round us up with talking about what you thought of this episode, give it a rating, and tell us where we can find you.
All right. This is a top-notch episode. I think the show's just getting progressively better each time. It's really finding its voice, and we're only 4 out of the 9, so fantastic. Highly recommended. What do you guys do? Rate out is it a letter grade, or what do you guys do?
Whatever you want to give it.
I'm giving it an A. This is an A episode. Definitely an A episode. So highly recommend. So where you can find me, there's the ticker down below. What have I got going on? I am doing my interview. It is actually going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow afternoon with Mark Robson. Mark Talks Wrestling. And then, of course, tomorrow night, I won't be on it, but there's going to be a team on for the Bad Blood post-show, so stay tuned for that. We continue our talk about NFL and all things sports this Sunday on POV, continuing those predictions and seeing where the week landed for all of us, and then returning next week with Papa Smokes on Thursday for Ring Respect Radio. So, and thank you guys. Thank you very much for having me on here. I wanted to get on one of these episodes, and I love the show, and yeah, it's an honor being here with you guys.
And as we're talking about the Bad Blood, we have a thumbnail for the Bad Blood show. Mark looking up very angry. Mark is looking very angry that his precious Dom is locked inside of a shark cage.
Yeah, he's such a Dom.
I don't know who. Gorfin jumping in saying the worst MCU was the Black Widow.
Dude, it's
not
down
great, there, but it's not quite the worst.
No, it at least gave us some really I think enjoyable characters in Florence Pugh's character, and what the fuck is David Harbour's character called?
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian.
I'd say more unnecessary than worst.
Yeah, it didn't need to be there, but I'm glad it exists in a way.
Remember that movie was also being proposed to her for about 5.5 years, but was being stopped by sexist assholes at the top of Marvel. Let it go on.
Mm-hmm.
Also remember that I will be hosting the Halloween episode of Ring Respect Radio as my 4 victims now. My 4 horsemen of victims of the Halloween apocalypse. As I will be hosting the trivia game for Ring Respect Radio. What the fuck do we know about wrestling trivia on the 31st? It is a Halloween themed episode. I will tell you the theme as soon as we answer the first question, because then that will tell you the rest of the theme. Because the first question is a very easy
wrestling. I'm going to guess wrestling.
No, it's a Halloween topic with a specific Halloween topic that I'm using. Andre, where can the good people find you?
You can find me back here in a few minutes after I'm done this show. Me and my regular tag team partner Melba are going to be coming back with the Japanese wrestling update as we sit down to talk all the week that was in professional wrestling and get you primed for a great show that's coming up this weekend at Stardom. Some great stuff is coming ahead in New Japan. We'll talk about the New Japan show from last weekend, so check that out. Oh shit! Oh yeah, Sid Vicious had passed away. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. We won't be talking about that, but all right, piece of Vicious. So we got that. You can find me on Andre Melba Wrestling Talk, as we're going to have coming up next week. We've just been delays due to Astrid being here. We've been busy with other stuff. I couldn't get the show done in time. We're going to have a New Japan review from the show from last week and coming out over there. We're going to give a Stardom review from the show that was happened. It's happening tomorrow that we'll be previewing tonight. We'll be having a review of that. So both of those coming up there. Some Chop Talk. We have Chop Talks out there just from the shows that Astrid was on both episodes of that we reviewed, the shows we went to this past weekend with Astrid. So check those out over on Andre and Melba Wrestling Talk on YouTube.
Of course, you can find me out right here every Tuesday night with my other tag team partner, Astrid Bizarro, as we talk all things NXT. We just had the watch-along version of the Taking Over last on Tuesdays. We had Mel joining us as Astrid was there at Mel's house. This week, we are blessed or cursed with the presence of my good buddy Andre C to join us as we do a post-show for the St. Louis show. Head-to-head with AEW Dynamite for the last hour of that show. So it's going to be interesting how they book out the St. Louis show with that. I don't think we're going to have Dynamite head-to-head with it. You can find me and Andre here at some point every week for the next 4 weeks as we go ahead and do Marvel Talk. We're trying to line up another guest, very fun guest. My other tag team partner, our local establishment booker herself, Astrid, is going to be working on another guest for us.
She's right. She's right.
She tried to get me to answer that, and I kept telling her King Solomon is the answer to the question.
Yes, I was sitting across from her as she was messaging you that. So,
and I kept saying King Solomon. Do you understand the reference, either Bobby or Andre, to the reference of King Solomon when trying to choose between two things? All right, in the Bible, there's a story of King Solomon sitting on the throne, and two women came up to him, saying that this child, this little child was theirs. King Solomon said, cut the baby in half.
Yeah.
Whoever loves the child more will just say, I'd rather her live without me than live with me. And he uses that wisdom to figure out who the true parent is in the situation. It's a fantastic parable of the Bible. I really enjoy it. So I kept answering King Solomon.
So we're going to chop you in half then?
No, whoever loves me enough is going to step aside and agree that the other person.
remember, I'm the one that sings the chopping in half,
Andre,
so-
you're the one who's all about the chopping, so you tell me.
The tallest ever WWE wrestler is Giant Gonzalez, I believe.
I'm pretty sure. he is.
Omos is up there. Omos is up there, but I think it's Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah, and then Andre's in that vein, but not quite there.
Andre, yeah. Not this Andre,
All right.
but the other.
No, yeah, yeah, the
Let's
giant.
get out of here
Andre.
so I can load up Japanese wrestling. Yet.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thanks,
you
guys, for having
guys.
me
We
on.
appreciate it. We appreciate everybody joining us in the chat, especially our new friend Gorfin. If you're watching us on the YouTube, go ahead and give us a like. Go ahead and give us a subscribe to see all the fun things that we got coming up the rest of the week. And every week here, we got content nearly every day. So please go ahead and check us out. We're going to play the outro, and we'll see you next time.